Do you want to say a little bit about you, Chris?
Sure. I live in Silicon Valley, Los Gatos, California, and I came onto the three principles. I don't know, several years ago, I used to listen to Hay House a lot, and I was very reluctant to listen to Michael Newell. I knew he was doing something around three principles, but like it just kept calling me. So once I dove in, like it's like sometimes I think I do too much just staying in the conversation thing, but I'm a coach. I started out as a health coach, and I do just a lot of general coaching. And yeah, I'm married. I have a couple of kids that are teenager, 19 and 21, but they're home because everybody's home. So yeah, that's kind of just happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we're thrilled that you're with us. Now, are you in Northern California or Southern?
Yes, close to San Francisco.
Oh, North.
Yeah,
Close
yeah,
to
like the San Jose area. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a couple of conferences in San Jose.
Mm.
And Berkeley actually was back in the beginning years. So have you spent any time listening to or reading Sid Banks? Because it's nice that you've been out with your tendrils out, and now we're bringing you back to.
Yeah, I'm happy to do this because it's the least I have listened to his, YouTubes, and I do have two of his books. I'm not much of a book reader though. I like to see things and hear things when I'm trying to take it in, but it might be a good time to read the book because you're just supposed to just get the feeling, I guess. So yeah, I'm really excited to come back to this. That's exciting.
Yeah, that was my intention too, not just for brand new people, but people who have even been three principles practitioners coming back to the roots. It's so easy to go afield, and it's always good to come back to where did this all originate? Yeah. Hi, Pallavi, you're in Germany. We're just introducing new people, which I didn't really do when Julia came on, because Julia was like, you didn't come on at the beginning of the 6 weeks. Like Karen, both of you came in, I don't know, week 3 or 4 or something like that. So we're going around and just introducing ourselves right now. So who's next? And I guess I'll just give a recap about Chris for Karen, who just came in. Chris is in near San Jose, California. If I say something wrong, let me know. And Chris was in our Thursday webinar for The Secret of Love. She's known Chris Heath for quite a while. I don't know, did you ever meet Chris in person?
No, I've talked to her, and I mostly just follow whatever she's doing. Yeah.
Different webinars.
I've had a conversation with her, but yeah, that's it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So great. So welcome to Chris. And who wants to go next? Because I don't know, to introduce yourself to Chris.
I'll go.
Go, Julia.
Hi guys, so my name is Julia. I'm 24. I'm a private jet flight attendant, so I'm kind of lucky to be on this call right now because I was supposed to be flying to Salt Lake City today. But yeah, I've been doing sessions with Lori, and I loved Mystery School. I did join later in it, but I convinced her to do a couple extra Monday meetups, but I accidentally missed them, so that kind of sucked. But I definitely love like the three principles, and I started reading like Elsie Spittle's work, and it just started to click. Everything kind of came together, and I've been looking into when I want to settle down after flying and everything. In Connecticut, actually, I wanted to do something with like drug and alcohol counseling, because I just recently lost my older brother to opioid addiction, which was really sad this past Thanksgiving. And it's just something that he struggled with for like 10 years. And I just think everything that the state was providing him at the time, we lived in New York, the resources weren't good enough for him to try and like kick the habit. Like it was almost like kind of feeding the fire like with him. So Yeah, I really want to see how like the three principles and that and counseling all kind of go together. So I'm excited to learn more.
So great, Julia. And you actually started listening to some of the podcasts that Harry
Yeah.
Drabitsky puts out and Greg
Yeah.
Sushi. And yeah, there's a
I really
few.
love those.
That's really great.
Mhm.
So you're not flying to Utah? Was it you?
No,
Salt Lake City, right? Because of
yeah.
the weather?
No, the passenger just decided to go tomorrow instead. So I got 10
Oh,
more.
oh, so you still get to go just a day
Yeah.
late. Yeah.
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 Hmm.
Julie has a very exciting job with
Yeah.
a private jet company,
Yeah.
a dream job.
Oh yeah.
So thanks so much. Who wants to go next? Alan, Karen. Karen's
Hey,
next.
Alan. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Alan. That's fine.
No, you go, Karen.
Okay.
Alan's still muted.
Oh, okay. I'm Karen. I'm in Connecticut. I work in a school district, and I got to know Lori because I needed some help for just dealing with all the stress and angst and blah, and everything's going on with COVID and how it impacts everybody. And I've really enjoyed getting to know Sid. He's really, the principles are making a big difference in my world. And every time I read a little more, I gain a little more insight and I feel better about things, and just trying to use those tools to help me to keep from, reacting when I hear things from other people. Talked to my brother yesterday, and, because I got the shot and they haven't gotten the shot yet. And it's like, well, like, oh, it's not my fault. Like, I can't own your reality. I'm sorry. I'm not the one making, all these things going on. So, but those principles are really helping me to find my way and stay on a even keel.
Yeah, I loved what you said the other day about seeing separate realities, that if somebody has a reality that you find disturbing, then you realize, well, that's their reality. It doesn't have to affect me.
I don't have to own it. You're right. And I appreciate all of your time. Your insights have been very helpful too.
Yeah. Oh, it's so great. So, and Mark is coming in. I just met Mark also through the Thursday webinar. So Alan or Pallavi or Richard, who wants to go next?
I can go, that's okay.
Yeah, great.
Hi, my name is Pallavi. I live in Germany, in Cologne. And I came across the principles a little over a year ago through Hannah Studley, who kind of specialized in working with people who experience chronic pain. So I met her in a Facebook group about chronic pain, and was very happy to do so because it was very, very helpful to me. And I kind of took a deep dive into the principles, I guess, during the last year. I'm helping in Hannah's group, and yeah, I've been just enjoying all the new inspiration and the friendships that were arising from it. And yeah, I've joined Mystery School, I guess, in December, I think. And I just
Christmas time.
Yeah, I just found it interesting because, like, in the beginning, I watched all kinds of stuff, but during the last half year, I think I came back more and more to listening to Sid, and I just enjoyed very much. And so I liked Laurie's idea of going back to it. And yeah, I've been enjoying the conversations here, and I'm very happy to be here. And I'm really in love with this understanding and with its teachings. Like, it's making such a big difference in my life. Like, it's making a difference with the pain stuff I've been going through, but also like in all other areas, basically. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we love having you with us. And I know it's late there in Germany. It's like 9 p.m. now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we really appreciate it. And I know that our two Connecticut people would love to have it a little bit later. Actually, there's more than, Libby, and there's several Connecticut people who aren't on now because they need it a little bit later. So we may have to have you stay up later on Wednesday night.
I give my best.
I want to say hello to Mark too. I just met Mark on Thursday at our webinar, and we've just been going around introducing ourselves. So do you want to do that next, Mark? And then I'll circle back to Alan and Richard, and Mark, you'll have to watch the recording if you want to hear the other 4 intros.
Sure.
we started like right away.
Yeah, no, I do apologize coming in so late. I just very new to Zoom calls, and I didn't realize that you just had to go into Zoom and do join and then put in the code. I thought it was on the website, so I'm trying to find it through Facebook. So it's the first time I've actually done it that way, so it's new to me. Yeah, so sorry I'm late, everyone. My name is Mark Harris. I came to the Principles by volunteering at the conference in 2019. I think it was conference 2.0. I had an amazing time. Never knew anything about Principles. A friend said to me, Mark, you know, this will be something great for you to do. Just volunteer to do it. And I've done it. And I think what's happened is on the journey and on the way through, it's brought me to meet all you lovely people. So here I am to see what shows up. All the way through my journey for the past couple of years, there's always been something that's always been continually calling me back to the Principles. It resonates with me. I feel it inside me, my heart. So yeah, just here to meet like-minded people and just learn and see what shows up, really.
And you're in London, right? Is that
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
I'm in London. Yes, I live in London, in England. Yes.
Yeah. So isn't that cool? I mean, I love hearing how people get exposed to Sid and the 3 Principles through all these different routes. That Mark was volunteering for 3P UK. I don't know if all of you know about 3P UK. It's an annual conference that it has to be held at a sporting arena because so many people come to these in Europe, which is so exciting. So who's next? Richard, Alan?
Richard, go ahead.
Okay, I'll go for it, Alan. My name's Richard Mayer. I'm in Ladner, British Columbia. We're on the sort of southwest coast of the mainland of BC. I'm an old timer by any stretch of time. We met, my wife and I met Sid back in 76, early 76, quite by accident. And for myself, I mean, I didn't even know I was searching for something, and lo and behold, you come across a book. It's really interesting how people come into contact with the Principles. And for us, it was, we stumbled upon a small book that was one of the first books about Sid's experience and the story of what was going on Salt Spring Island, and it woke us up and soon connected us to the Nanaimo group, which was one of 4 groups local to Salt Spring. So there was Salt Spring, Victoria, Nanaimo, and Vancouver that were getting together. And I mean, we're talking nearly 45 years here, but it just amazes me when you reconnect with your center, you know, the essence of life and what it does for you, brings you back home. You know, those were 2 words that Sid spoke about, going home, and you know, really realizing what home is and what being at home can do for you. And for me, I'm a creative person. Tapping into the essence of life for me was a wonderful way to unleash creativity, both in terms of thought, in terms of the work that I do. I'm a graphic designer. I also do marketing, communications, free thinking, etc., music, photography, fly fishing. So I have a rich creative life, and it's fairly free form, so which is good. And I'm very thankful that my wife and I, we both woke up. You know, in terms of the cosmic sense, we woke up together, and we've stayed, you know, together in an awake state, which is great. So we met Lori early on, probably earlier than Recall in '85 when Lori first came into contact with it. I was doing work for the Advanced Human Studies Institute at the time, and met you more recently, Lori, at what, 2016 school on Salt Spring Island.
We
Wonderful
met
place.
on the ferry. On the
Yes.
ferry going over to the school, and as I saw, it was my first time in Salt Spring Island.
Super great.
2016, I think, yeah.
So this is very cool.
Yeah. Great stories. Alan, your turn. Thanks, Richard.
I said, OMG. I don't even know where to start. Probably kind of like Richard. So I met Sid in '78. I was a human relations trainer. Met him through Roger Mills and some other people that had met Sid before I did. And life has never been the same, really. You know, I can't say that I've been giddy, happy, but I have avoided my own rabbit holes and insecurities, and been able to bounce back from devastations. And I have multiple sclerosis, right? So being able to deal with that. I was an alcohol and drug counselor for years. Have not. What was I going to say? So, I wrote a book about that. It's called Perfect Misfortune, and I so enjoyed seeing Chris Heath in that webinar, because I haven't seen or talked with Chris Heath for probably 30 years, and her clarity was such a treat. It was such a treat. So, I continue to live in Bend, Oregon with my wife, Nancy, and our little dog, Eddard Stark, named after Game of Thrones, Prince Eddard Stark, named by the Humane Society. And continue to experience life through awakeness and asleepness and mind consciousness and thought manifesting. And I feel very privileged to be included in this group. There have been times when I've stepped away from the principles, and then I've come back. I've always come back. I've always come back. I still listen to Sid's tapes. I have cassettes, and I have a cassette player in my car, which tells you how old my car is. And, just every once in a while when I need to retouch my core, I'll pop in a Sid tape, and I'm back. That's the journey of this, I think, for most people. It's waking up, going to sleep, waking up, going to sleep, but being more and more focused on the waking up piece and avoiding the speed bumps of this wonderful life that we've been given the 3 gifts to experience. Well, anyway, I'm a grant writer now. I write grants for a health center. So very cool gig, having a lot of fun. That's all.
Oh, Alan, thanks so much. I mean, what a miracle to have you and Richard, the old timers among us to, just offer what your memory is from those early days. It's a real gift. And I love this group, that it's small, the number of people who are able to make the calls. I'm always struggling with finding a time that is good for all time zones, but somehow it works out. And then if you can't make a group, you can watch the recording. Thanks to Richard, who does the recordings. So, we're going to start from the first of the 6-week series. And the first theme is about listening. So we never have to stick to a theme. If somebody has a really great insight, because I love to begin with insights that you've been having. But if you want some direction, It's really, especially this one on listening, because I think that if we could all talk about what we have been seeing about listening, not just to others, but to ourselves, you know, then that makes our understanding that much richer about the fact that we're listening from a deeper place inside of us, not to the superficial words. You know, for a long time in the field of psychology, it was, they would teach people how to do active listening. I see, Paula, you're laughing because you remember that, right? I like to call what we do passive listening, because you're out of your own head. And, you know, active listening was all about you were so focused, you were able to repeat back the words of the sentence. Well, guess what? The words of that sentence could mean something totally different to you than it does to the speaker. So that wasn't, you know, a good technique to use. And that's another thing I love about the three principles is there's no technique to it. There's just a seeing, and we each see at our own pace, a little different, a little, but we're all looking within. That's the point. You know, and I'll just tell you a really cool, I actually had an insight a few hours ago that, you know, I've seen this before, but not, you know, it feels like when you have another round of an insight around the same thing, that you see it a little deeper, is how I experienced it. So minding my own business, and I am chopping up vegetables, and all of a sudden I'm like, I have this thought pass through me, like, why are you so happy? What are you happy about? You're chopping vegetables, something you don't really like doing. It's not on your priority list to be chopping vegetables. But you know what I realized is that I wasn't thinking anything. That's why I was happy. I wasn't thinking negative thoughts. I wasn't thinking about how much I dislike chopping vegetables. Why do I always have to chop vegetables? And why don't I have somebody helping me chop vegetables? And all those nasty thoughts that can enter our minds. So that was like, oh, that is so cool. It is really true that happiness is our default setting. When we don't have negative thoughts on our mind, that's where we are. Oh, it was a trip, you know, to get this thought, like, why are you so happy? There is nothing to be happy about, girl. And that's the point. When there's nothing to be upset or mad about, that's when we find ourselves at that neutral place, which is quiet and happy. So enough of me. What are some insights you've been having? It doesn't even have to do with listening. It could be about anything that you're supercharged about. Chris, you got to unmute. You're muted. There you go.
Well, I know we don't do modalities, which is a huge relief because I've studied them all. But I am in an Ayurveda class, which is, you know, the science, they call it science of life, right? It's the Indian way. It's sort of like the Indian way of, their doctors get paid to keep you well. You don't go to the doctor when you're sick. You only pay, it's opposite of the way we do it. Anyway, it's all about being with nature, doing things the way nature does. So we've been doing a lot of breathing exercises, and I'm like, wow, it's such a nice way to connect back to yourself, you know, kind of deliberately, right? And I start my day doing it, and I just notice that my days are much better, because it is hard for me to still my mind. I'm one of those people that has a lot of thinking. So, you know, like I said, it's been really nice for me, because then I feel like my true wisdom could come through, and I just feel more relaxed. And I feel like I have less expectations and less, it should be this way, and more letting people think what they think. I'm not perfect at it, of course, but yeah, it's just been really nice for me to really see that space like that. I can get there, even though I like what you said, like it just happens too sometimes that I'm just happy for no reason. But that's been really fun for me just to start my day like that.
Oh, that's so cool. I want to know what the breathing exercise is, but I'll tell you I don't know if this relates. I just noticed this the other day with my mask on. I was going into the grocery store and I have one of these great masks. I got it at Costco, really inexpensive, but it's black and it feels good on my face and it actually blocks out cold and wind. And it feels so good. And I started breathing while I'm driving. I'm thinking, this is like aromatherapy. I wonder why it smells so good in here. Isn't that odd? But then when I got into the grocery store, it smelled bad. I don't know if it captures smells, but somebody ought to come up with like, Richard, the fiber lighting idea you had, somebody's got to have an aromatherapy fibered mask. You can choose what flavor, you want chocolate, you want coffee. What do you want to be breathing in? I don't know. Just a silly thing that came to me. So what's the breathing?
A few drops of aromatherapy on it?
Oh, I wonder. Yeah, I don't do aromatherapy, but I wonder if you could just put a drop on, right?
If you put a little under your nose, or like just put a little, you'll be breathing in whatever you like. I do lots of essential oils. I mean, I just love them. So yeah, that's a good idea.
It reminds me of our grandson. We've got one younger grandson, just loves Marika's pendant that you can put a little scent, fragrance into, and he's always, if she's wearing it, he's always checking it out. But I can relate, Chris, to what you're saying about breathing. And we used to do Bikram yoga, and the very first thing they would do for the 90-minute session is breathing. And it's amazing, like how empowering that is from a point of view of just quietening yourself down physically and even spiritually. I mean, it's just a way of centering yourself. And, I find at times in the morning as well, it's just picking up one of the books. And at times you might think you want to, you know what you want to read, but sometimes it's just neat to crack it open at some place, wherever it opens. That's the message for you that day. And again, it kind of reinforces the need just to be open-minded about what life is and what comes your way. And that's something that's actually in the missing link that Sid writes about. It's not so much that life is a contact sport, it's what you do with it and how you roll with ease, not rolling with the punches, but roll with ease in terms of what life presents to you and how you live with it.
Actually, on that note, The Missing Link is like a great book to open wherever you open it up to. Seeking Enlightenment. That's what I just opened it up to. Yeah. So who else? Yeah, Julia.
Yeah, well, I have like a similar experience, not so much about like waking up in the morning, but I have a terrible like time trying to fall asleep at night, just a mixture of anxiety and coffee. And usually when I'm thinking about like what I'm going to do for my flight the next day, and I have to have all these different things like in order, and I can spend hours just laying in bed. So I've been seeing a lot of posts about practicing gratitude, and I never really knew what that meant, but I was like, I'll just give it a shot one night. And I just laid in bed, closed my eyes, and I just thought of every single thing like in that moment that is just working out perfectly fine. Because like our minds, they just go straight to what's wrong or what's not working, and it's like that's what's on the top of your mind. But I just went into like, okay, like my dog is being watched by my parents for free, I have a great job, like I'm healthy, all of these great things, and everything just working out great. And it's just that it worked, and now that's what I do every time, and it works like a charm.
And it puts you to sleep.
Yeah. And it puts me in a better mood too, which is nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. To go to sleep in a better space, right. I hear that sometimes people listen to Sid to go to sleep. It's their sedative. You do that, Pallavi? Yeah. Yeah, Pallavi.
Yeah, there's something about listening that's been coming up for me during the last weeks, but it's more about listening to life or listening to the moment. Like I feel like I'm just slowing down a bit and I'm realizing how often I'm already thinking about when I'm done with this, like what will I do afterwards? Like always this focus on getting done with everything, and you know, like, and it's so subtle, like it's not like I'm actively thinking about it, but there's this tension or this, yeah, going to the future. And I sometimes notice it when I'm playing with my cats or something, which is super cute, but you know, like still waiting for to be done with it. And in listening, also when Sid talks about listening, there's some feeling in there for me of just listening to what's there right now, like not so much to my thoughts, and also doesn't have to be other people, but just like being there in the moment. And it's like a quiet feeling. And I don't know, it's like kind of new to me, or it's like on a new level or something, but it feels very nice, like gentle, and just like this open space of just seeing what's there and allowing what's there. And there's also something where I found for me, I think Laurie said something like this, like neutrality is in a way positive, or like neutrality is this open space where everything is allowed and accepted, and it feels like love. And it's kind of interesting for me. You know what I mean? That's not necessarily the comparison is not necessarily negative and positive, but like it's neutrality or it's like judgment and comparing and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I shut up now.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, Ellen.
This this group just kills me, because after I leave my grant world, you know, I'm writing a grant right now, right? So I'm heavy into words and meaning and tone. And then when I come to this group, well, usually within 5 or 10 minutes, I start to quiet down. And as soon as I start to quiet down, thoughts that are not my usual run of thoughts begin occurring to me. So here's what just occurred to me. So when I first met Sid, I listened so hard, you know, I almost broke. It's like he spoke to a part of me that hadn't heard that strongly, that depth of I don't know what to call it, love. Yeah, it was love. I hadn't heard that depth of love before. And then after a certain length of time, I stopped hearing that as clearly. And what I've noticed over the decades is that when I listen to that, when I'm able to quiet and listen, I feel so good. And then when something happens that busies my mind, so I stop listening to that space, it hurts. It hurts to go there. And I've become less comfortable with hurting by not listening and falling into the rabbit holes that we all have and the insecurities. I could probably make a list of 5 of them right now. My wife knows a lot of them too. So, right. So at least she says, Alan, there's that rabbit hole again. And I can listen to her when she says that, listen to the truth of it, and then step back from that rabbit hole. And for me, listening is the ability to, like Pallavi was saying, you know, you go inside, you hear your state of mind, hear that space, and want that space bad enough that you give up the insecure thoughts. And anyway, so Random Thoughts About Listening by Alan Flood.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah.
Well, it's amazing how much thought, preoccupies your wellness, if you want to call it. You've got thoughts that distracts you, or, like if you've got distractive thought. Julia, I like what you said about gratitude. There's that centeredness that comes from that allows you to exist in peace, with yourself, that you're grateful for what your life is, and what's flowing, what you're flowing through in terms of what life is.
Yeah. I can't remember, is it Elsie or Sid, or maybe both of them, who did a whole tape on gratitude. The value of focusing on what we're grateful for is enormous. It's absolutely enormous. And that's also, looking at what is as opposed to what isn't. Yeah, I love that. Do you find too that you do that more automatically? Because I find that in my life that I'm more,
Yeah, I do.
much more automatic. It's so
Yeah,
fun.
even not just falling asleep, but when I get really stressed out, and I have a tendency, I think someone else was saying like how you're always thinking on the next thing. You're not really focused in like the present and the moment. And I'm a lot like that too. I'm like, I have a to-do list, what needs to be done, or looking at what's not finished or missing or whatever. And it really just, it brings you back down. Like you're almost like grounded. You're coming back to, you're becoming awake, or, whatever sense. But it's almost like a warm feeling of like a sense of security. Like, I don't know, like you're okay.
Right. Yeah. It's like a little reminder that that you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
We lost Mark.
Yeah, I noticed. Maybe something happened. Sometimes people lose their computer power even. So, what else? Yeah, I love that. Oh, and I give all of you permission to laugh about this. Do you know where I am most in the future? On my yoga mat. In a yoga class. In an hour-long yoga class, there's Mark again. In an hour-long yoga class, I'm on my mat thinking, oh, when I'm out of here, I have to go to this store. I have to remember broccoli in this store and cauliflower in that store. I mean, like, stop it. Isn't that funny? It's like when we're trying, I'll speak for myself, when I'm trying to relax and get quiet, I don't know. My future thinking kicks in loud and clear. Sometimes I have to laugh at myself. Like, really? Stop it. Alan.
We talked about this last time, but so yesterday I couldn't find my wallet, right? So I couldn't find my wallet. So I look in my pants, I look in the car, I look in my jacket, I look in my pants, I look in my car, I look in my jacket, same pocket, right? Same pocket. This is a wallet. It isn't like a coin, it's a big wallet. So I said, oh, this is nuts. So I sat down and just quieted down a little bit and thought, you know what? I felt that wallet in my jacket pocket, but I didn't pay attention to how it felt physically. So I went back to that jacket, looked in the first pocket that I looked in, there was my wallet. I had felt it. And I was urgent enough and distracted enough that I didn't even pay attention to how my wallet felt in my hand. So anyway, distracting thoughts, Richard, that's what I was thinking.
I know, I love that. That's so funny. How, there's this deeper mental activity that goes on when we quiet down. It does, it works like a charm. I know where I lost that, where I had that thing last, my phone, my whatever it is. that I've misplaced. If I get quiet, it's like, boom, right there.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm frantic, like trying to go in the same pocket 3 times for the same phone, it's not going to all of a sudden just appear out of nowhere. If you just like getting quiet, that is like such a cure-all for so much, for everything, I guess. And it's what the system does automatically. Like if you're in an emergency situation, right? I've heard this, read about it, and I know it's happened for me also. It's like all thoughts leave your head and you are just right there in the moment in an emergency. That's like built into us. Which is unbelievable, you know, that we are designed in such a perfect way. Alan.
I don't want to monopolize this. So Joe Bailey once said something that stuck with me forever, a long time ago in his first book, Slowing Down to the Speed of Love. And he said that, you know what? All stress comes from doing one thing and then thinking about another. All stress comes from doing one thing and thinking about another. Anyway.
Well, that's great. I read that book, but I don't remember that line. And that's a really great line. Right? Doing one thing and thinking about another. Even if it's you thinking about how much you dislike what you're doing. That's like away from being fully into doing what you're doing.
Yeah, because I mean, in a way, this means like thinking at all about something, like most of the time, right? But because like while I'm lying in bed, there's not much to think about lying in bed. So as soon as I think about anything, I'm thinking about something different than what I'm doing. It just occurred to me that this means a lot of not thinking, basically.
That's great. Right on.
I would be interested to hear if it is the same for you guys. For me, it feels like the biggest difference I saw when I first came across the principles, and which made such a difference in my life, is to realize that I don't have to create the good feeling or the quiet or the whatever nice thing I'm looking for. It's already there. Like I felt like I had spent 25 years trying to create nice thoughts, more spiritual thoughts, more kind feelings, whatever. And it kept me really busy in my head, like controlling my thinking. And for some reason, when Hannah told me about it, I think it was actually in the first session I had with Hannah, at some point, somehow I got this idea or notion that it's already there, that it's who I am, and that it's just covered up by the other stuff. And like it makes such a big difference to me. Like as in the moment somebody says this to me, I felt like, okay, somebody should have told me earlier, but it's like it shifted my awareness or my, I don't know. Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like the default setting before the contamination of thought, right?
Yeah, but it's like somebody had to flag it for me for some reason. Like, yeah.
And for people who don't know, Hannah wrote a book called
Painless.
Painless. Yeah, that's right. Painless. That's important. Yeah. And Pallavi just translated it in German. What a huge undertaking. How many hours? Do you have any idea what that took you?
No, because I'm doing it on the side. And actually it was faster than the first book. Like now I already had the format and everything, and it's been going quicker. I just finished today, actually. It's going to proofreading now, and in a few weeks we will upload it to Amazon.
Wow. Yeah, it's a great book. I loved it. So, who else? Anything you found about listening to others, to yourself, or anything that has lit you up? Yeah, Mark. You have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah, sure. Well, what I've found personally is that for me, I'm always being guided. And the more I choose to listen to that guidance, and that guidance can come from people, things around me, a recommendation pops up on YouTube, an email pops into my inbox, so many different things just show up, and they're the guidance that I'm supposed to be listening to. But if I don't listen to them, then I end up missing out on the continuation of the ease of the journey, if that makes sense. Because I think that I personally believe that I am the blocker of my success in a sense. And I don't know what success looks like, but I mean in the sense of where I'm meant to be, or how I'm meant to grow, or the messages that are meant to come through to me. They're being bombarded and thrown at me all over the place. But I'm thinking that it's got to come a specific way. So I'm not seeing what's being given to me. It's like, it's got to be this way. But, you know, people are talking to me left, right, and center. And it's just like Pallavi said, when somebody said something to you and you just didn't hear it at that time, maybe there's been many times in my own life where somebody said something to me so many different times, and then there's something what chooses to hear it. And that thing that chooses to hear it is, I don't know what that is, but what I do know is that it was at that time it was supposed to be heard to help me, to set me free in whatever way it needed to be. So yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah, I love that. That's really like trusting the universe, or trusting, however you want to call it, trusting mind, trusting big mind.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do, but I'm learning. It's a learning process. That's what I would say. Didn't know it before, but I'm becoming more, listening to it more. Yeah. And because I'm listening to it more, there's something in that listening.
So, Mark, we're bombarded by so many emails and so much information and so much stuff. How do you know what to pay attention to?
So what tends to happen is, okay, I'll give you a great example. You've spoken about Sid, and Julia's spoken about gratitude. Then next thing, something could pop up on my phone or on YouTube, a recommendation. Sydney Banks, gratitude. Well, I've heard that from somewhere before. Where did I hear that? Let's just have a look and see what happens. And then if I have a look, then it might lead somewhere. But it's like as if something's been, we're bombarded with so many messages each day. But the reality of it is in one of those messages, there's got to be something for you. And messages come in many different ways. But it's being aware that it might not come through an email, it might come through a YouTube video, it might come through someone saying to you, oh, okay, I'll give you a great example. I never knew anything about principles. Someone gets in contact with me, Mark, I think you'd like this, you should go. Didn't know what I was going to, didn't know anything about it, showed up, bang, I'm here now talking to you guys in the principles. That's what I mean. It's like, wow. And I personally believe if I didn't have gone to there, it would have probably shown up somewhere later on in my life, because it was something that I was meant to hear about, learn about, or know about. And yeah, that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, you're here because you wound up at the webinar on Thursday, the Secret of Love webinar, right?
Exactly. And this is it.
Another.
And this is it. And this is the thing. It's like, It's like asking for guidance, and you're being given guidance all the way, but you think the guidance has to come in a certain specific way, not knowing that if you just go with the flow, and when I say you go with the flow, I mean just show up. Just, you know, okay, you go and see what happens. And then look what's happening. I'm like, wow, it's really amazing for me. I'm very appreciative of it, and glad that I'm becoming aware. And I look at the listening as not just sound listening. Listening is feeling, listening seeing, listening part of hearing, listening is touch, listening is emotion. It's so many different things. That's what listening is to me. But it's just being present to it. Yeah. So I'm just learning. I'm learning that. I'm not skilled at it. I'm just going through the emotions of learning it. So.
Yeah, I love that. Right? Yeah, Julia.
That resonated with me so much because I remember like one of my first jobs, I was waitressing, and my boss, he was like 80 years old. He was kind of just like overseeing everything. He owned a couple of the restaurants, and he was telling me when I was sitting on break, and he was like, you know, the secret to my success, he was take every opportunity that you're given, no matter what it is, take every opportunity. And I think I was like 16 at the time, and that I've lived by that. Just that little piece that he said, I've lived by that like my whole career so far. And everyone says to me like, oh, like how do you have the job that you have, or like how are you where you are, like you just went for it. And I was like, yeah, like you have to take every opportunity and just kind of trust, like have that trust that like maybe it's meant to be or it's destiny, but more so that like it is crossing your path for a reason, because it's speaking to you, and that's like really speaking to your interests. And I don't know, I love that, to like kind of, I mean, there's like a lot of pressure on me right now to like have kids and be married like everyone else my age, but I'm kind of just like waiting for everything to come now as like as it's supposed to. Like you can't just push yourself into doing something. Like everything comes at a time. You just have to trust and relax and like trust in the process. You know, I love that, Mark, how you said that.
Yeah, Karen.
Well, and sometimes you get some inspiration strolling through Facebook, and I saw this one. I don't know if it'll come up or not there or not. No, it's
I
not.
can't read it. I see. What do the words say?
It says, "What if everything turns out for the best?" It's like we know how we're looking in our heads. They start to run with all kinds of stuff, and I know mine goes down the negative or whatever, and it's like, and I start to bring myself back into the moment, and it's like, and you try to think about the positive. What could go right as opposed to what could go wrong? Because none of that's happened yet. But we always imagine the other, and I don't know why.
Do you all know the Mark Twain quote? I've had many problems in my life, most of which never happened. That's what that reminds me of. I love that quote. I've had many problems in my life, most of which never happened. Thank you for that. Yeah. Pallavi.
Yeah, it just reminds me like of a little bit of brain science. I know maybe from Hannah's book, but also I think from the neuroplasticity stuff I've been doing. But it kind of helped me to see something, because when you just said the minds are always going like for the negative stuff that could happen. And I had this expression that there's this part of the brain, like the amygdala, the old part, the survival part of the brain. And when you're in a low mood, like in a place of fear or anxiety or tension, it works as a troubleshooter. Like it's looking for trouble. It's trying to keep you safe. It's just looking for danger and problems. And I find it kind of nice to know that, because when I notice my mind doing stuff like that, I go like, oh yeah, okay, it thinks I'm in danger, but I'm not, so I can just ignore it, you know. But it was kind of helpful for me to understand this function of the brain.
Oh, that is so cool. That sounds like something that Dr. Pettit would have in the mind, brain, body behavior connection course that he does. Is that where you learned that?
I think I learned it before because I did a lot of TMS stuff and learning about the brain and stress before I came across the principles. But yeah, I heard Dr. Petit talk about it and Hannah talk about it and fight or flight response and blah, blah. But I especially like this expression of the troubleshooter. Somehow it's a good image for me to remember.
Yeah, I love that, the troubleshooter. And the troubleshooter gets activated in times that we really don't need troubleshooting. That's the point, that our deeper knowing knows when to pay attention and when not to. Yeah?
Oh, yeah, I think, actually, I think, like you said, if you're in real danger, like you would just act and run. And I think the problem is that somehow we, like nowadays, we often are in this chronic states of stress where there isn't a real danger. It's just like we have an overactivated nervous system, and that's also what leads to chronic pain often and stuff like that. And like, I like this very simple distinction I think Sid makes, like if it comes with a tense and urgent feeling, it's probably not wisdom speaking. Like it's probably my busy mind doing something. And yeah, so I think the point is that it's mostly not necessary to listen to it.
Yeah, I love that. If we're in real danger, it does its job. That's how we're designed. We can depend on that. We can depend on our own design. We don't have to help it.
Thank you. I love that insight. But it's just like I've been trying to like just calm myself back into the moment and just like Julie was talking about, being grateful, you know, about, you know, I'm safe right now. I'm in a comfortable chair, and the gratitude, you know, it's just the insights from all of this and the thought is just, I've really enjoyed what I've been learning.
Yeah, it's a mind blower, isn't it? Oh, so cool. Wow. Ooh, it's just about 4 o'clock. That hour went so fast. I can't believe it. So I hope it's good for everybody. It all depends, of course, if Julia gets called away on a trip but if we could meet at the same time next week. And after next week, since Karen's going to be back at work, and it'll be an opportunity to bring in more people from my state, if we can meet an hour or even an hour and a half. Do you think, you know, poor Pallavi, though, she's how many hours ahead? Lots of hours.
I think if you meet an hour later, maybe I will join, but actually I think it's too late because normally at 10 p.m. I would start getting ready for bed. So, but it's fine. I mean, I guess it will change again at some point, and I will just check in with you guys in the Facebook group or watch a recording or something.
Well, you know, we ought to be able to do it at 4 instead of 4:30 because, I mean, can't people leave work an hour early? Most people can. They could take like their lunch break at the end of the day, maybe. I think employers here are lightening up a little bit. Compliments of COVID, actually, because more people are working from home now. And so why don't we try that? We'll meet at the same time next week. So hopefully you can make it, Pallavi. And then we'll see if, you know, we can move it till 4. And like you say, if you're not, you know, if any of you are not able to join us, you'll see the recording. I just love having everybody on, you know, because everybody's got such great input. Everybody has, you know, your own individual insights that we can all relate to. Like we're all learning from each other. It's remarkable. So thank you all for coming. And I'll see you in the Facebook group. Comment, start your own, you know, something, anything that comes to you. This is you, that's yours. It's not mine, but I'm the one that writes in it most of the time. Any last words anybody wants to say before we have to say goodbye? Yeah, Mark.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, everybody, for being my reflection and just showing me what I needed to hear and learn, and you know, for your input. It's so beautiful to be part of the group. So thank
I
you.
love that. And thank you for being my own reflection. I love that. Yeah. We all are for each other, right? So amazing how that works. Yeah.